The first thing you always have to do, whether you're doing factoring, quadratic formula, or finding the discriminant, is make sure it's set equal to 0. So notice how this first one is equal to -7. So we need to start by adding 7 to the other side. Which one of these numbers do you think I'm going to add it to? The 10, the 5, or the 3? The 3, yeah, because that's the like term. So we're going to add the 7. So then that gives us 10x squared plus 5x plus 10 equals 0. So A is 10, B is 5, and C is 10. So let's go ahead and do our discriminant test, which is B squared minus 4AC, parentheses squared minus 4AC. So B is 5, A and C are both 10. Type that in your calculators and see what you get. You do need a calculator today, so if you don't have one on your desk, go ahead and grab one off a desk close to you. Rowan, can you take your headset off for me, please? Thank you. Like, take it off your head. Thank you. So what did you all get? Anybody else get -375? So does anybody remember from yesterday what that means? Yep. Because it's negative, that means we have 0 real solutions. 0 real solutions, I'm going to go ahead and add this, is the same thing as saying 2 imaginary solutions. That has exactly the same thing. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So either one. They're not real, they're imaginary. Any questions about number 1? All right, let's look at number 2. For number 2, it equals -3x squared. So the first thing we need to do is add it. What am I going to add it to? The 6, the 1, or the -4? Which one is this like term? Which other one has an x squared? The 6. Good job. So that's going to be 9x squared plus 1x minus 4 equals 0. A is 9, B is 1, C is -4. So B squared minus 4AC. 1 squared minus 4 times 9 times -4. Go ahead, type that in your calculator and see what you get. Sean, what you get? Nothing? Anybody get something? Positive 145. Because it's positive, what does that mean? 2 real solutions. Okay, so today we're going to do the whole quadratic formula. Go ahead and turn to page, I think it's page 24. 25, thank you, page 25. So up until now, we've only done a piece of the formula. Now we're going to do the whole quadratic formula. So page 25, this is the entire, let me zoom in. This is the entire quadratic formula. You don't need to memorize this quadratic formula. This is the piece that we've been doing up until this point. We've only done the part underneath the square root. But now, to finish it out, we just need to put this and this. We're just adding 2 little things to it. All right, and that plus minus That means we have to add and subtract. That's why it says plus minus. That's how we get our two solutions. We add and we subtract. All right, so let's get to it. For the first one, the first step is to put it in standard form. So let's go ahead and add 11. We don't have a like term on that other side, so it becomes x squared minus 12x plus 11 equals 0. It has to equal 0 to be in standard form. Okay, so that means A is 1. B is negative 12, and C is positive 11. So now let's go ahead and find our discriminant, which is B squared minus 4AC. So B squared minus 4 times A times C. Go ahead, type that in your calculator. Just like that. See what you get, because that's going to tell you the number and type. So it's going to tell you if you have 2 real, 1 real, or no real solution. What'd you get when you typed it in your calculator? 40. Oh, 100. Anybody else get 100? All right, so that's the part underneath the square root. So because it's positive, Danny, can you sit up for me, please? Because it's positive, what does that mean? How many solutions do we have? 2 real solutions. So that's a really small little line to fit that on, but I'm gonna try. 2 real solutions. So remember, that's the part underneath the square root. So whenever you do that, the next thing you're going to do, step number 2 or step 3, is take the square root of that number. So we got to figure out what the square root of this number is. Sometimes it's going to be a whole number. Sometimes it's going to be a decimal. And if it's negative, it's going to be imaginary. This is actually a whole number. So if you're not sure what it is, type that in your calculator. Take the square root of 100. So to get the square root, you have to hit the green key and then x squared. And you should get the square root of 100. What'd you all get for the square root of 100? 10, good. All right, so let's do the whole quadratic formula. So x equals, so we have the opposite of b. Does everyone see how that says opposite of b? So if b is negative 12, what do you think the opposite of negative 12 is? Positive 12, good job. Positive 12 plus, and then we're gonna put this number here. So positive 12 plus 10, and that's divided by 2 times a, and a is 1. That's your first solution. Your second solution is 12 minus the 10 divided by 2 times 1. So go ahead, type both of those in your calculator to get your 2 solutions. Let me pull that up so everybody can see it in the back too. Type that in your calculator just like that. And that's how you get your 2 solutions. And that's all is to the quadratic formula. (22) divided by 2 is 11. 12 minus 10 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So your 2 solutions, remember it says we're looking for 2 solutions. So my 2 solutions are x equals 11 and x equals 1. And that's it. Any questions about how we did that? All right, let's go ahead and do number 2. First step, make sure we put it in standard form. So that means I need to add that 16 to both sides. So that means I have x squared plus 8x plus 16 equals 0. A is 1, B is 8, and C is 16. So B squared minus 4AC. Go ahead, type that in your calculators. See what you get.
So it's always going to be minus 4.
Yes, that's the quadratic formula. So at the top, when we look here, you see that little pink part? It's B squared minus 4AC. That's the quadratic formula. Okay, so we got B squared minus 4AC. Type that in your calculators. What did you all get?
0.
Who got 0? So because it's 0, what does that mean? How many solutions am I looking for? Just one real solution. And let's talk about why it's only one. So whatever you get for this part, remember you have to take the square root of that number. The square root of 0 is 0. So when we do the quadratic formula, and I'm going to go ahead and write this, opposite of B plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4AC. Okay, when I do this, we're only putting in this number here and this number here. So let's go ahead and make our two fractions. X equals, we start off with the opposite of B. So what number am I going to start with? A positive 8 or a negative 8? Negative, because we got to flip the sign. So we have negative 8 plus your discriminant, the square root of our discriminant, which is 0, divided by 2 times A, which is 2 times 1. That's our first solution. And then we do it again with subtraction. Negative 8 minus 0 divided by 2 times 1. All right, go ahead and type those in your calculator. So what did you all get? Did you get different answers or the same answer? The same answer. That's why it's only one solution. It's one solution because we get the same thing twice. That's why it's only one solution. And the only solution is x equals negative 4. Anytime your discriminant is 0, the answers will be the same. All right, one more question, and then we're going to do a homework question together, and that's it for today. Homework 6 is due on Monday. Step number 1, number 3, add the 1. When we add the 1, we get 4x squared minus 3x plus 1 equals 0. So that means that A is 4, B is negative 3, and C is positive 1. Next step is find the discriminant. So B squared minus 4 times 4 times 1. Type that in your calculator and see what you get. And I think this time we should get a negative. All right, what did you all get? -7. Anyone else get -7? All right, ooh. I didn't mean to turn my screen. Okay, so because it's a -7, what does that mean? How many solutions do we have? Yeah, we have no real solution. So we have 0 real solution, which is the same thing as saying 2 imaginary solution. So let's talk about it. So we got to take the square root of -7. Anytime you have a negative underneath the square root, I don't know if you remember, but we got to separate it like that. Does anybody remember what this is equal to? I. So now we're just going to put that. We don't have to do anything but put it in the formula. So x equals, and then that I root 7 is going to go here. Plus or minus goes in front of it. So right here, does anybody remember what does the quadratic formula tell us to put right here? Not B, but well, B, but it's the opposite of B. Good. So B is -3. So I'm going to put a +3 right here. And then in the denominator, I'm going to put 2 times A. And what is 2 times 4? 8. And that would be your answer. That's as far as you can go when it's imaginary. You can't do anything else.
So when is this plus and minus?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
The plus and minus, is that always going to be that one?
Yeah, that's the quadratic formula. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and